Hello students, in this session of database management system, we are going to discuss about types of DBMS user, roles and responsibilities of a DBA, what is database architecture and types of DBMS architecture. In particular, we are going to discuss the three-tier architecture of DBMS along with the concept of data independence. So let's proceed with the types of DBMS user. The database users can be categorized based on their interaction with the database. It could be the naive or the pragmatic end user, who are basically the unsophisticated user who don't have any DBMS knowledge, but they frequently use the database application in their daily life to get the desired results. For example, railways ticket booking users are naive user. The clerks in any bank are naive user because they don't have any DBMS knowledge, but still they use the database and perform their given task. Similarly, we could have another type of user, that is system analyst. And system analyst is a user who analyzes the requirement of pragmatic end user. They check whether all the requirements of end users are satisfied. Another type of database users are sophisticated users. Sophisticated users can be an engineer, scientist, business analyst who are familiar with the database. They can develop their own database application according to their requirement. They don't write the program code, but they interact with the database by writing SQL queries directly through the query processing. Another type of database user are database designers. Database designers are the user who design the structure of database, which include table, indexes, views, constraints, triggers, and stored procedure. He or she controls what data must be stored and how the data items to be related. Another type of database users are the application programmer. Application programmers are basically the backend programmer who write the code for the application programs. They are the computer professionals. These programs could be written in programming languages such as Visual Basic, C, Fortran, Kahoot, Java, etc. Another type of database users could be classified as the casual or the temporary user. The casual user are the user who occasionally use or access the database, but each time when they access the database, they require the new information, for example, the middle or the higher level manager. Then there comes another type of database user, that is DBA, database administrator. DBA or a database administrator is a person or team who defines the schema and also controls the three levels of database. The DBA will then create a new account, ID, and password for the user if he or she needs to access the database. The DBA is responsible for providing security to the database, and he allows the authorized user to access and modify the database. Also, the DBA monitors the recovery and backup, also provides the technical support. The DBA repair manages the damage repair that is caused due to hardware or the software failures. Coming to the part of roles and responsibilities of a DBA, the main responsibility of a DBA is to incorporate the data available to the end users and the decision maker of an organization. He is basically responsible for design, implementation, maintenance, repair of organization's database. The DBA is also responsible to create user role, which are collection of permissions granted and restricted for a class of user. DBA is also the person who defines the integrity constraints for the database to ensure that the data entered conform to some rules and thereby increasing the reliability of data. A database administrator's primary job is to ensure the data is available, protected from the loss and corruption, and is also to make it easily accessible as and when needed. So, the roles and responsibilities could also be stated as the very major role, that is the software installation and maintenance. A DBA often collaborates on the initial installation and configuration of a new database. The system administrator sets up hardware and deploys the operating system for the database server. Then DBA installs the database software and configure it for the use. As the updates and patches are required, the DBA handles this ongoing maintenance. And if a server is needed, the DBA handles the transfer of data from existing system to the new platform. The second part is data extraction, transformation and loading. Known as ETL process, the data extraction, transformation and loading refers to efficiently importing the large volumes of data that have been extracted from multiple systems into data warehouse environment. This external data is cleaned up and transformed to fit the desired format so that it can be imported into the central repository. The third parameter or the third responsibility is basically the specialized data handling. Today's databases can be massive and may contain unstructured data types such as images, document, sound or video files. Managing a very large database may require higher level skills and additional monitoring and tuning to maintain the efficiency. The very next rule or the responsibility is database backup and recovery. The DBA creates backup and recovery plans, procedures based on the industry best practices, then make sure that the necessary steps are followed. Backup costs time and money, so the DBA may have to pursue management to take necessary precaution to preserve the data. System admins or the other personnel may actually create backup, but it is DBA's responsibility to make sure that everything is done on schedule. In case of a server failure or other form of data loss, the DBA will be using the existing backups to restore lost information to the system. Different type of failures may require different recovery strategies, and DBA must be prepared for any eventuality. With technology change, it is becoming even more difficult for a DBA to back up the databases to the cloud, such as Oracle Cloud for Oracle databases and Microsoft Azure for SQL Server. Security is also one of the major roles and responsibility of a DBA. A DBA needs to know the potential weakness of the database software and company's overall system and work to minimize the risk. No system is 100% immune to attack, but implementing the best practices can minimize the risk. In case of security breach or irregularity, the DBA can consult audit log to see who has done what to the data. The audit trials are also important when working with the regulated data. Next parameter is authentication. Setting up employee access is an important aspect of database security. DBA control who has the access and what type of access those users are allowed. For instance, a user may have permission to see only certain piece of information, or they may be denied the ability to make changes to the system. Next, the capacity planning. DBA needs to know how large the database currently is and how fast it is growing in order to make the predictions about future needs. The storage refers to how much room the database takes up in the server and backup space. The capacity refers to the usage level. If the company is growing quickly and adding many users, the DBA will have to create a capacity to handle the extra workload. So once again, this way the capacity planning is also a major role on the responsibility of DBA. Next, the performance monitoring. Monitoring databases for performance issues is a part of ongoing system maintenance a DBA performs. If some part of the system is slowing down processing, the DBA may need to make configuration changes to the software or additional hardware capacities need to be added. Many types of monitoring tools are available, and part of DBA job is to understand what they need to track to improve the system. The third-party organizations can be ideal for outsourcing this aspect, but we have to make sure that they offer the modern DBA support. Next parameter, the database tuning. Performance monitoring shows where the database should be tweaked to operate as efficiently as possible. The physical handle with the effective monitoring. It is possible to proactively tune a system based on application and usage instead of waiting until a problem develops. And last but not the least, major role of DBA is also the troubleshooting. DBAs are on call for troubleshooting in case of any problems, whether they need quickly restore lost data or correct an issue to minimize the damage. A DBA needs to quickly understand and respond when these faults or troubles occur.